Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Tutor to You revision blast on memory. We're joined tonight by Rosie, give us a wave, and Laura as well. And we've got an absolutely chock-a-block session for you with lots of things to test your knowledge, your skills, your recall on memory. I can see in the chat already that some of you are saying, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst topic I've got to come on paper one," in which case, great that you're here. That's job number one. And number two, you can pop any question in the chat and Laura and Rosie will attempt to answer them and help you out along the way tonight. With that in mind, there's 3 weeks to your exams. Countdown gets quicker and quicker every week. 3 weeks till paper one. So without further ado, let's get on with our memory session. And Rosie, you starting us off tonight?
I certainly am, yeah.
Right, okay. As always, answers in the chat. And let's go. Let's put your knowledge to the test.
Okay, so our first activity this evening is called the lineup. So we have 4 likely suspects kind of lined up here from A through to D, and we're going to see some clues and we're going to have to decide which of the lineup is being described in the clues. So let's have the first one of these clues on the screen. So we've got it encourages many retrieval pathways. We have got the next clue, which is that it disrupts the effects of expectations. Our third clue is it helps us to describe the event from the passerby. And then finally, number 4, we have got that it disrupts the effect of schema on recall. So which one from A through to D is best being described here? So I can see lots of us have recognised it is the cognitive interview, of course. They are our 4 components. And we've started to answer now. Wonderful. Lots and lots and lots of us getting this correct. Okay, so it is, of course, C, recall from a changed perspective. You might not have seen some of these ways of kind of describing this element of the cognitive interview before, but it is quite useful to kind of allow you to elaborate in your explanation to explain how it works. Okay, so nice, really, really good, great start. I'm going to pass over to Lara now for our second activity.
Okay, guys, for confusing pairs, the answer that I want you to place in the chat box is either correct or incorrect. Okay, so let's look at these definitions. Do they match up with the phrases? In a scribe, stores, holds the words we hear. In ear, stores the arrangement of information. Is that correct or incorrect? Are they matched up correctly? So some of us are saying incorrect. I'll just wait for a few more of you to input your answers there. Yep, so Daisy is saying the wrong way round. Yeah, a lot of us are saying no. Yeah, you're quite right, guys. So if we reveal the corrections here, so yeah, inner ear is to do with what we hear, whereas the inner scribe is about the visuospatial sketchpad, specifically with our spatial ability, storing the arrangement of that information within our visual field. Okay, let's look at the second one then. So we've got capacity and encoding. Are these the right way round or the wrong way round? So capacity, how much can we store in memory? Encoding, the way information is changed for it to be stored. Okay, cool. So I think the majority of you there, that flew by all those answers really quickly. The majority of you are saying yes. So yeah, you're quite right with that. These are the correct definitions for the phrases. Well done, all of you. Let's have a look at 3. All right, so be careful here because these often sometimes get a bit muddled. So we've got Jacob's study, recall of trigrams, once counted backwards, was only 10% after 18 seconds, but 90% after 3 seconds. And Peterson for the serial digit span, increasingly long list of numbers. They reach their capacity at 9 for numbers and 7 for letters. Yeah, I think some of you at the start started saying correct, but it looks like a lot of you are saying incorrect. Majority of you are saying these are not correct. They're muddled. Yeah, these ones are not the correct way round. Okay, so Peterson did the trigrams and Jacobs the serial digit span. Okay, so just again, if you got that a bit confused, just make sure you're really clear on that methodology for these studies to not get them muddled. Okay. All right, let's look at number 4 then. So procedural and semantic, one is unconscious and one is conscious. Are these the correct way round? So unconscious and conscious. Yes, a lot of you are saying correct. Yeah, so yeah, you're quite right, all of you. Number 4 is correct. And where you might be using this, if you're thinking about, okay, why do I need to know that? They might ask a question in the exam on the difference between the types of long-term memories. This is one of the parameters that you can compare them on. You can also compare them on the parameter of what region of the brain do we find these types of memory. Okay, so let's look at the last one, number 5. Okay, be careful here because it's really easy to get these muddled as well. So retroactive, your teacher's learned so many names this year that she has difficulty remembering the names of the students last year. And proactive, your teacher has learned so many names in the past that she has difficulty remembering the name of her current class. So what are we going with, guys? Are these correct or are they incorrect? Okay, we've got a bit of a mixture here. So some of you are saying correct, some of you are saying that they're not correct. But quite a few of you are saying correct. Okay, so yeah, if we reveal the answer, these are the correct way round. And if you're sitting there thinking, God, I really don't know how I'm going to remember this difference, so I'm just going to share with you how I remember it, basically. So retroactive, I want you to think of retro as old. So with retroactive, it's the old memory that's affected. And if you can remember that about retroactive, then obviously it's just the opposite for proactive. So retroactive is old, so the old memory is affected. Retro means, in the past, old. So that's a way to remember it. That might help some of you. I don't know, you've got your own methods. So I'll pass you back over to Rosie now.
Lovely. Thank you, Lara. So we're now going to have a look at a little true or false. So some kind of quick fire looking at what we think is correct and not, and some little follow-up questions as well. So this first one says long-term memory is encoded semantically. So all I want you to do is to drop a T if you think that is true into the chat and an F if you think that is false. So let's have a look. Answers starting to come through now. Let's have a look. Let's have a few more people to answer. Yeah, okay. So we seem to be doing really, really well on this one. Let's have a look at the answer, Laura. It is, of course, true. Okay, let's have a look at another one then. So capacity is the measure of how long memory is available. So capacity is the measure of how long memory is available. Okay, we've got a bit of a mixture of answers coming through on here. So remember T or F. Let's wait for a couple more. I reckon we've got quite a few people who think it's true. Let's reveal the correct answer. Let's have a look. This is false. Okay, so false is on there. The measure of how long memory is available for. What's that called? So is it capacity? It's duration. Well done, Harry. Really, really good. Capacity, of course, is how much memory can store. Okay, fabulous. Let's get them a little bit trickier now. So this one's quite a tricky one from the multi-store model. Maintenance rehearsal transfers information from short-term memory to long-term memory. Is that true or false? Thinking about what we know about that model. Okay, so we've got a mixture of answers coming through. Yeah, we really have got a good mix on this one, actually. Got lots of trues, lots of falses. Okay, let's take a look at what the answer is on here. It is false, and you might be thinking, oh, well, maintenance rehearsal is definitely a key term that I know from the multi-store model, and it is, you're right. Maintenance rehearsal keeps information in the short-term memory, and I can see a couple of people. So, Jesse, you've preempted my next question. What I was going to ask is, what do Atkinson and Schifrin say is required to move something into the long-term memory, and it is, of course, prolonged rehearsal. I can see a couple of people, so Jess writing down elaborative rehearsal. Again, that's another key term that you can use that's associated with this. Elaborative rehearsal is an evaluation point of the multi-store model, which says that it is the type rather than the amount of rehearsal that results in something ending up in our long-term memory. So, for example, you remember things that you haven't rehearsed for a really, really long time. Okay, so 3 nice key terms there to kind of recap and have a look at. Let's move on to the next true or false question. Okay, so this one, the episodic buffer integrates information from the central executive and the slave systems. Let's get some good answers for this one. What do we think? Okay, so we've got most people saying true for this one. Let's have a look and see if we are correct. And you are correct. This is true. So that's a key part of the episodic buffer's job. And of course, that is why it is able to code any type of information, because it's integrating information from all of the different slave systems as well as the central executive. Okay, let's have a look at our final true or false question for this round. So we've got declarative memory is knowing this as opposed to how. So quite a tricky one, this. Let's see what we think about this one. Okay, just waiting for some more answers to come through. And again, we've got a little bit of a mix. Most of us, though, think this is true. Are we right? Let's have a look. That is, of course, true. So declarative memory. Which types of memory are declarative then? Which types of memory are declarative? Let's have a look. Do we know that? How is procedural? That's right, Rachel. Well done. Really good. Excellent. So semantic and episodic, we've got, oh my God, and cheese on toast, getting those answers correct. Well done. Wonderful, guys. Okay, really, really good knowledge. I'm going to pass back to Lara now for the next activity.
Random question grid. Okay, so the blue movement here is going to stop on a question, and you are going to be answering the question in the chat box. So let's go to the first question then. Okay, so the case of HM, what could he not form? The case of HM. What have we got? Can we remember the case of HM? Okay, so we've got most of you, I think, are saying long-term memories. Yeah, long-term memories. Just a couple of you at the start there that were saying short-term. So let's reveal the answer here, just to remind you in case you've got that a little bit muddled. It was long-term memory for HM, and I think that's really useful to know so that you know where you could apply HM in the specification, because it might be that you can apply HM not only to the types of long-term memory but also to the models such as the working memory model as well. Okay, let's look at the next question then. What does the visual cache do? What does the visual cache do? Yeah, so questions here. Do you need to know his full name or can you just write HM? HM is fine to write in the exam. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so we've got stores visual information. Yeah, a lot of you are saying stores visual information. So let's have a look at the answer to check if you've got that right. Well done. So stores the information about the visual items in our visual field. So well done, those of you that got correct, and well done for that elaboration. Some of you have written a kind of full answer there, so well done. All right, identify the difference between explicit and implicit memories. Remember, this is a difference question, so I really want to be seeing some sort of connecting word here. That's all I'm going to say in your answer. This is AQA exam spec. Okay, so we've got a couple of differences coming through. Yep, so some of us are talking about what's maybe conscious or unconscious. Really good. What is it? What is the difference between them? What do they do? Has anybody written that down? Your answers are coming through so quick and fast. That's really good. Yeah, so Daisy, you've put explicit memories are declarative, so semantic and episodic, whereas implicit is procedural and it's usually not conscious. Yeah, really good. So let's have a look at the answer here for this one. So explicit is knowing that, and implicit is knowing how, as we've got with Daisy's example there with procedural, knowing how to drive a car, ride a bicycle, play an instrument, okay, as an example. Yeah, really good. All right, let's look at the next question. What type of long-term memory are memories concerning knowledge of the world? So what have we got for that one? So some of you were just asking on the previous question about, is this in the specification? Implicit and explicit isn't quoted in the spec, but they are ways we might describe the types of long-term memory. So it comes under the long-term memory heading, if you like. Good. So a lot of us are saying semantic. I think we just got very minor amounts of you that have said a different type of long-term memory. So yeah, this is knowledge about the world is definitely semantic. Well done, those of you. All right, let's look. A teacher recalls her previous student's name, but not the current student's name. What type of interference is this? So let's see if we're going to get this one right. Recalls her previous student names, but not the current student names. We've already been through this, so it's a test to see if you remember the difference. Oh, we have got some variations in answers. Remember what I said, retroactive means old memories affected. So what is this one? Most of you have got it correct, which is great to see. The correct answer is proactive, yeah? So it's the new memory here that's being affected. Well done. All right, how could research investigating memory have higher realism? How can they have higher realism? And then think about in some of the studies, you know, the apparatus, the sort of the tests, the tasks that they're asked to do. Yeah, really good. So we've got Daisy and Just Bray there. So yeah, using more realistic tasks to everyday life. Can anyone give me an example of you know, some sort of memory test, for example, that is more realistic? Anybody got any? So yeah, we're going to use less artificial tasks like remembering 10 meaningless words, for example. When do we do that? But when you say more realistic tasks, can anyone give me an example? Yeah, so Bessie, you're saying, you know, remembering your yearbook, for example. Yeah, well done. Remembering phone numbers, could be things like a grocery list, for example. Yeah, well done. Excellent. Let's look at the next one then. So we've got, what type of retrieval failure did Godden and Badley investigate? So not Goodwin, Godden and Badley. What type of retrieval failure did they investigate? Yeah, external cues, context. Yeah, context dependent, forgetting. Well done. Yeah, really good. Yeah. Not state dependent, context dependent, this one. The state dependent was by Goodwin with the sober and drunk students with the list of words to recall. Okay, let's look at the next question. Identify the key piece of research for misleading information. I expect everyone to get this. So what is a key piece of research for misleading information? Remember, misleading can refer to post-event discussion or leading questions, okay? All right, so we've got, I think Daisy, you got in there first with Loftus and Palmer. We've got a lot of Loftus and Palmer coming through, which is really encouraging to see, guys. Well done. Really well done for that one, for identifying that correctly. Good. Let's look at our last question. Identify the two types of misleading information. And I've kind of already given this away, so let's see if anyone was listening to me. What are the two types of misleading information? Yeah, good. Leading questions and post-event discussion. Well done. Okay, back over to Rosie then next.
Thank you, Lara. So some impressive knowledge there so far, guys. Well done. So this next activity is called What is the Difference? And sometimes it can be quite useful to think about how the things that you've learned, so in this instance, the two models of memory that you've learned are different. And this can be really good for kind of deepening your own knowledge, but can also come in really, really useful for evaluation. So for critiquing one model and the strengths it has over another. So the question on the screen that I'm really interested to get some answers from you on is, what is the difference between the working memory model and the multi-store model of memory? So I can see straight away some answers are coming through. So I've got some nice little responses on here already. Cheese on toast. We've got passive stores versus active stores. We've got lots of people kind of saying, well, the working memory model only focuses on short-term memory, whereas the multi-store model focuses on 3 different memory stores, and that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily use that to kind of critique the working memory model. So, it never set out to be a model of long-term memory as well. So just be careful with that one. But I can certainly see lots more answers coming through now where we're saying, the working memory model breaks short-term memory down into smaller components that are also active. And really, they are our 2 key points. So if you've never thought about this before, this can be useful just to kind of deepen your own knowledge and understanding. So we've got some key terms here in the answer that's on the screen. So short-term memory is a unitary store. And if you haven't come across that word before, it kind of means singular. It kind of does one thing, whereas your working memory model is made up of multiple components, so not singular. So for example, the central executive has that supervisory role. And then we've also got this idea that one is active, so the working memory model is active and manipulates that information, whereas your short-term memory is kind of more passive. I'm quite impressed, actually, that quite a few of us knew that. And if you didn't, it may well be worth having a little look at that. Let's have a look at our next difference question on here. So our next difference question is, what is the difference between context cue failure and state cue failure? Let's have a look at this one. Just give people a moment to kind of have a little think about this. Okay, so some answers have started coming through. So Isabel, you said context is external, state is internal. Jessica is saying that context is environment. Sophie, context is external cues, state is internal cues. Really, really good. Okay, so I think maybe we found this one a little bit easier than the working memory model. Let's have a look what we had at Tutor to You. So state cue failure is when we forget information due to our emotional or psychological state being different at learning and recall times. And in contrast, context cue failure is when we forget due to our surroundings being different at learning and recall times. I wonder, does anybody know the phrase that Tulving used to describe this finding, that you kind of remember things better if either the context matches or the state matches? What is that called? Let's have a look on the chat and see if anybody's kind of at that next level, since we found it a little bit easy. Oh, Michael, straight in there. Jess, Daisy, Sophia, it's the encoding specificity principle. Well done. Some real kind of next level knowledge coming through. Oh, wow, lots of us know this. Really, really impressive. Great key terminology to use, guys, when we're talking about this theory of forgetting. So well done. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next activity now. You're sticking with me for this one, where we decode the question. Now, we know that you will go into your exam having done your very, very best with revision. We know that you'll work really hard to do that. But sometimes one of the things that students need to work on in the run-up to the exam is making sure that they're aware of what the examiner actually wants, okay? So in this one, you might have your own little technique that your teacher's taught you, and I can see some of us are starting to look at this already. What words are going to be important in helping you to kind of guide and frame your answer towards this question? Let's take a look now. So we have got lots of us saying, so Rachel has said it needs to be AO3 and not AO1. Absolutely. Evaluate, people are realizing. I tell you what, I'm just looking through these answers. Not many of us have talked about improving the accuracy of eyewitness testimony. And guys, that's really, really important. So I can see lots of you have given me some suggestions as to what you could include. So the psychologist being mentioned is Conker, mentioned quite a few times in there. But when you are evaluating the use of the cognitive interview, it would be really important at the end for you to kind of link back and explain that. So if you were using, let's say, for example, a piece of research to support from Conker, which is a study in 1999, which you've probably seen in your textbooks, etc., they said that more information was remembered compared to the standard interview if you use the cognitive interview, but you also remembered more incorrect information as well. So you would say at the end of that, therefore showing the cognitive interview may not be effective as a technique for improving the accuracy of eyewitness testimony. Okay, so it's really about kind of signposting the answer to the examiner. So we all recognise it was evaluate, but I think that might be something that we can kind of have a look at in the run up to the exam. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. So this one, we've got briefly outlined the findings of one research study into retrieval failure in forgetting. So don't worry about actually answering it, although lots of you have shown impressive knowledge on the previous one. Which bits of the question are important for you to pick out? Okay, let's see, coming through. So I've got Ellie saying the findings and Damien saying outline. So they're two good command words to pick out. Yeah, lots of us are writing findings in kind of in capitals, things like that. Okay, so one research study as well. Yeah, let's have a look. So outline the findings. We certainly wouldn't want to see the procedure in an answer like this. And, you've learned it and it's in your head. And sometimes you just want to kind of sit down and think, right, I'm going to write down everything I know. But you need to just restrain yourself and just include the findings. So which studies could we include for this one? I wonder if anybody's told me that. So which findings of which research study might we include? Let's have a look. There's a few that we could include on here. So somebody said Godden and Badley's deep sea divers. That would be correct. So we know that recall was around 40% lower when the context didn't match. We have got, what else have we got coming through? Carter and Cassidy. Yep, brilliant. So I think that was the one with the, was that the antihistamines one, I think? And then we've got Goodwin, which was the drunkard versus sober one. Really good. Okay, so just a little reminder, decode that question before you answer it, guys. Okay, I'll hand back to Lara for our final little activity of the evening.
Okay, guys, hopefully you all recognise this one. I've played this a few times now at Tutor 2. So you're going to have 30 seconds. There's going to be 3 questions on the board. And obviously, hot is going to be rated as more difficult in comparison to mild. So let's have a look at our 3 questions. So mild, we've got what level of anxiety is said to be beneficial to eyewitness testimony accuracy. And then we need 2 verbs. Sorry, number 2 is what verb elicited the lowest mean mile per hour responses. And the spicy one here, what types of memories are associated with the temporal lobe? So off we go. Might be an idea for you all to put the kind of answers into one, write all the answers down first and then press enter into the chat box, because some of us might not be doing it in the same order as each other. So I think a few of you put down for question 1, a lot of you have put moderate, which is great. That is correct, it is moderate. So number 2, it's just one verb. So which verb was it that elicited the lowest in mile per hour responses? That's what I want to know. So a lot of contacted here. Some of us saying bump. So we're going to iron that crease out in a moment. More bumped, more contacted. Yeah, so between bumped and contacted, I think we can all agree it's one of those. And then what have we got for 3? Anyone want to have a go at number 3? So some of us are saying episodic. Okay. Some of us are saying semantic. So out of episodic and semantic, last chance to get your answers through, guys, before we reveal the answers. Good. We've even got a specific stat there, Aquila. So we've got contacted was 32, I think you said, miles per hour. Okay, let's go through it then, guys. Let's reveal the answers. So, quite right, well done. Number 1 was moderate level, and it was contacted. It wasn't bumped. So contacted. Well done, those of you that remembered that. And actually, temporal lobe, you were both correct, all of you. So semantic and episodic, in actual fact, can be found in part of the temporal lobes. So really well done, guys, for getting that correct. That was a really smashing session from all of you. Really great effort on all of your answers.
Gosh, it goes so fast, doesn't it? And we've had so much knowledge demonstrated. The chat's on fire as well. So another excellent session from you guys. Just a reminder, you can, I know some of you have been asking, can you watch these back? Will the sessions be available after tonight? And absolutely they are. You can watch tonight's immediately again if you want and go through some of them areas and some of them great exam tips that Laura and Rosie have given you. You can also go back and watch everything in our entire back catalogue for Revision Blasts, a fantastic tool ready for you to use for your exam prep. And just to let you know, our next session is 6th of May. What have we got on 6th of May, guys?
Attachment.
Is it attachment?
Yeah, I knew that. I was just checking. Yeah, it's attachment, 6 o'clock. And a couple of you might be thinking tonight, oh, there's lots of tips that we've got from Laura and Rosie. I've still got a couple of questions to ask, and maybe we didn't get around to answering your specific question tonight. But that's why we also hold our exam clinics. So check out our schedule on Instagram. It's also on our website as well. You can contact us if you've got any specific queries you want answering. But as well as these revision blasts, we'll also hold some exam clinics where we there's going to be 3 or 4 of us this year. There's normally only 2, and we get so many questions. We're going to sit and we're going to answer your questions for about an hour, answer every query you've got, whether it's about exam skills, questions, what can you write with, calculator, no calculator, and all these questions that you've asked tonight as well. So plenty of time for you to revise and plenty of time for you to come back and use us as your resource for revision. But thank you very much, Laura and Rosie. Fantastic session, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Thank you.